While the matchup on the surface might seem a little random, this does have some backing to it. When I recently did a poll on topics to do, Darth Krayt was one of the most requested, as was Lord of the Rings. So a pretty cool mix to that would be Darth Krayt versus a Lord of the Rings character. And the one I've decided to use comes from a spin-off game from Lord of the Rings, which is the main character Talion. Now, I will be observing this in complete war style. If you're new to the channel, this kind of versus battle layout comes in 3 rounds with 30 possible wins, and it's a best out of 30, so 10 for each round. And whoever has the most wins the complete war. So for this versus battle, we will be doing the 3 different rounds with 3 different versions of the characters. We will be considering Exile Krayt versus Wraith Talion. Then we will observe Sith Lord Krayt versus Ring of Power Talion. And then we will finish off with them pitted against each other as commanders, since both have raised their own armies, or at least to some degree. So I'm going to go over Talion first for the first round, and I hope you guys enjoy. If you are new to the channel and like content like this, please consider subscribing. For those that have already subscribed, please drop a like to support the channel. With that being said, sit back and I hope you enjoy, and let's begin. Now, with the Wraith form, Talion has several abilities which I will review, but first you need to understand where he got this form from. Talion was a former ranger and a very skilled fighter, and one night he was overrun by the Black Hand, and they killed his family and killed him, although he was visited by the spirit of the ring creator, Celebrimbor, and they soon merged in order to get revenge, which led to the stories that form the video games and makes Talion one of my favorite personal main story characters. Now, some of these abilities include access to the Wraith world. This is an ability that allows Talion to see beyond just the physical world. This ability also allows him to find and target specific enemies. Such an ability in combat makes it very hard to evade Talion once he knows what he's looking for. So even if you get distance between him and escape him, he can use Wraith World to find you. Next up is Shadow Strike. This is an ability that can serve to close gaps or give Talion access to an instant kill spot. This is a type of Wraith teleportation that allows him to pop up in your face for the kill. A variant to this is Shadow Pull, a move similar to Force Pull that inflicts this shadow move on you to bring you to Talion where he can swiftly kill you. Next up, Domination of Mind. Talion can use his Wraith abilities to access your mind and attack it. This includes ripping information from it or forcing you to now work for him. Next up, Time Perception. At the least, Talion demonstrates he can slow down his perception of time to get kill shots with his Wraith-like bow. He may be slowing time, but more likely he's insanely enhanced his senses when focused, and he's extremely quick. Next up, Amplification. Although I already confirmed how he got amped across the board because of the bonding to the Wraith, this includes attacks as well. Using Wraith power, Talion can get stronger with each strike, his sword glowing blue until he can one-shot his foes. Next up is Immortality. His Wraith status is essentially a limbo. Talion will come back if he is slain in combat, for he cannot fully die. It would take sealing or the separation of his Wraith form to overcome this, at least in my opinion. Next is Elven Light. This is a light-based attack with a large area of effect. This is used to damage multiple foes, and he also can use like a Wraith-type skip move where he jumps forwards, but it's similar to his Shadow move, and in my opinion, both kind of do the same effect, so it's not necessary to repeat them. Some of his other abilities, like Beast Taming, just don't really matter. Now, if you want another Talion scaling video, I made one in the past, but if you want another one, let me know as well. If you want an individual Krayt video, let me know as well for that. But he also has Elven Rage. This is basically a rage mode entered by Talion that's a temporary permanent amp. Basically, what I mean by that is he has peak amps for a set amount of time, so he can go all out with everything for a certain amount of time. This ability is unique to this form of Talion and does not carry over to his next form. The Celebrimbor version of Talion is no slouch. He was able to hold his own against the Witch King, although he wasn't above him until later form. The Witch King in the movies was easily doing insane things like shaking countries and continents by merely flexing. He also is able to swap hands with Gandalf. He did this also, by the way, for reference, with other Nazguls all night in the novels. Talion is sub-ring of power level, but close to that kind of tier in my opinion. He is a lethal combatant who not only attacks on the physical plane, but I would argue spiritual as well, consistently, given he stabbed the Tower of Sauron and impacted Sauron's spirit, and he's fought spirit-like projections before and can even control them. Overall, Talion is a very strong character, scales just below Ring of Powers, at worst because of Balrogs and such. I would say that makes it planetary if you lowball Balrogs to saying destroying a planet. Because it stated, I forgot where it stated, it said Balrogs can actually like set fire to the earth. But if you even lowball to that, that's where he should be. But he also is significantly above light as he uses light abilities and gets massively stronger from when he started using them. So overall, he is a very formidable foe and someone I think a lot of people sleep on. Moving on to Exile Krayt. This version of Krayt I will be observing will be before he goes into his famous Sith training / waiting arc. Not many people look at this version of Krayt and they don't really respect him or appreciate him enough, but I think he's quite formidable and I'm excited to cover him. Now, in the comics, even Padawan Asherat Het was a beast. Het in the 2001 run was shown to be able to spar with the Dark Lady Anya Kuro, who is a respected Jedi figure in the lore. He also did quite well in their sparring sessions and even got the upper hand a couple times. He also defeated Aurra Sing, a renowned Jedi Slayer and bounty hunter. What makes this quite wild is that she killed his Jedi Master, a Jedi Master that happened to be his own father. So even Padawan Het was Jedi Knight plus tier as a duelist and combatant. Padawan Asherat Het, according to the text, who nursed the pain of his father's death, beat Aurra badly in single combat. Sing slunk away to fight another day. By the time the Clone Wars rolled around, Het was a full-fledged Jedi Master. This should not be a surprise to anyone, as Het was a beast, as I mentioned before, even as a Padawan, so his maturity in the Force and dueling prowess made him an easy candidate as a Master, which would lead him to taking up roles as a general in the Clone Wars. Het, by lineage, is a Tusken Raider. Given this fact, him hanging around Clone Wars Anakin was bound to lead to some racial tension. I'm sorry guys, but y'all know Anakin has a rough background with Tusken Raiders, so when he found out about this, it wasn't good. Het leads this Anakin on missions together, showing he was clearly Anakin's mature superior. When Anakin discovers Het's heritage, Anakin attempts to attack him and put him down. While holding back, Het quickly disposes of bloodlusted Anakin and takes him down, then talks him down. This Anakin is capable of dueling Dooku for a time and other high-tier duelists, so I consider this quite a feat that he easily beat him. Another accolade that makes this Krayt a beast is survival. He is one of the few Jedi to survive the genocide that was Order 66. Het would eventually run into another exile in the form of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because of his now hateful ways, Kenobi confronts Het. The two engage in a duel. Het holds his own and even lands a few hits on Kenobi. This Kenobi should be a little bit stronger than the one that beat Anakin Skywalker, and in my opinion, should be his prime form. So losing to this version of Obi-Wan Kenobi after sustained combat is not a bad loss. Eventually, Het would leave and his path as a Sith would really begin. This is the end of Exile Krayt's case. Now, observing this battle, reviewing the facts, I believe round 1 should favor, you guys might be surprised, but should favor Talion. Now, I believe this is 10 out of 10 high diff the Talion in the first round. The reason for this is simple. Krayt's a very skilled duelist, and I believe perhaps even more skilled than Talion, as well as he has a better speed case. Because of this, I believe he is quite a formidable challenge for Talion to hit, and Talion will struggle hitting him initially in the battles, and Krayt could even, or Het at the time, could even get some strikes in on him, but he doesn't have a way to counter Talion's immortality hacks with the Wraith form, and because of this, he doesn't have a way to put Talion down, and due to longevity, his shadow techniques and stuff like that, I believe Talion takes it high difficulty, but he will take it every time in round 1. Round 2 will be Sith Lord Krayt versus Ring of Power Talion, and we will review Krayt first. Het's eventual turn to the dark side made perfect sense. He would seek the power to defeat the Emperor and Vader until he realized that the Empire had actually fallen. This led to Het exploring, which actually didn't end well in his favor. Het would run into the incoming invaders of the galaxy, the Yuuzhan Vong. Het would fight multiple Vong warriors, who can easily kill Jedi, and would eventually be caught and tortured. Eventually, Het got the strength to escape. The torture and time with the Vong helped birth Darth Krayt. For direct scaling, this born Krayt was an absolute monster. Upon escaping, Krayt killed multiple Vong warriors with lightning. This is wild because Jacen Solo couldn't hurt them with the Force. Also, for reference, the Yuuzhan Vong have an immunity to Force. Only Darth Krayt, Grandmaster Luke, and Kyle Katarn level combatants were able to harm the Vong with the Force due to the Vong's immunity. This means escaped Krayt is already on an incredible level within the verse. Now, let's just get it out the way. The 2012 novel Apocalypse is perhaps Krayt's best showings. He assisted Grandmaster Luke in fighting the strongest avatar of Abeloth. This battle showcased a battle on multiple planes of existence because it was performed beyond shadows. Krayt also demonstrated insane force drain. His drain of you can also amp him, as well as high telekinetic force blasts in which he battled Abeloth with Luke. Krayt is one of the most intelligent and hacked gifted Sith in the verse, if not the best. He has absorbed many Sith holocrons and manipulates Sith lightning in ways we really hadn't seen before. Also, if you want to see my ranking of the Sith from Legends included, let me know in the comment section. Krayt has managed to hold off powerful Dark Lords like Darth Warlock and easily boloed them. This includes barehanded negging hacks such as Sith Lightning, which few in the verse would even dare to try. I like to argue that the dueling skill of Krayt is massively above even Clone Wars version of Het, who was superior to Clone Wars Anakin. This is due to him confirming he merely built upon his already existing base. This easily puts Krayt in the convo for top 5 duelists in the verse. For the evidence of this, Krayt was quoted as saying he completed training as both Jedi and Sith, honed his skills in the Clone Wars, since the Clone Wars, and has killed thousands of people since then. Lord Darth Krayt easily dispatched of multiple Imperial Knights. It is reasonable to assume this is a slaughter of Jedi Knight level platoon. Just more solidification of his level of dueling, and shows that he can handle surprise attacks and large numbers of foes that are on a very high level. Krayt would beef with an obscure Skywalker in the future bloodlines named Cade Skywalker. Cade was a very talented Jedi who even beat several of the top Sith warriors of the time, including Darth Talon. Krayt absolutely bullied Cade in their exchanges. While I do think the Apocalypse novel was by far his best scaling, Krayt's always been a consistent monster with his force techniques and abilities. He casually ragdolled Cade Skywalker, and the power of Krayt was respected by characters like Darth Krayt. Krayt was strong, but he was also very varied in his talents and abilities. He utilized abilities like Essence Transfer, which he forces his soul upon yours and takes your body, and he also used Shatterpoint. He can see the lines of your very existence and attacks the threads that are the weakest, which is basically fancy talk for a supernatural way of seeing all your weaknesses and then taking advantage of it. Krayt has always been very powerful, but his run as a Sith was absolutely remarkable. He defeated many foes over the time, including Jedi Knights and Master level foes by Padawan days. He held his own and had respect from Grandmaster Luke, and Krayt is truly one of the scariest combatants to ever walk the verse. Now let's review Ring of Power Talion. This version of Talion is directly amped compared to just Wraith form Talion. Prior, the former form of him was unable to beat the Witch King. With the ring on, Talion ragdolled the Witch King, even though the Witch King had outside help. Now, the reason we do see a couple versions of this character. One, he has Wraith and the ring, but he loses the Wraith form when he casts, like him and Celebrimbor part ways from each other because they disagree on their methods. He's basically saying he doesn't want to do what the Wraith wants him to do because the Wraith is turning bad, which he had a point. So they temporarily depart from each other, and as he's laying there dying, he has a vision. He sees a vision of what he needs to do, and he puts the Ring of Power on and finishes his job, which I'll describe later. With the ring, we also see that Talion is capable of going to battle with and destroying a Balrog. These Balrogs are corrupted Mayar, who have been seized by the darkness of Melkor. Worst case, they are stated to be able to burn the world and such, but he should be stronger given their origins, which is that Mayar actually predated creation and were sealed in creation with other Anur, higher forms of Anur called the Valar, and they're stuck in creation and power creation until it ends. A new ability granted to Talion is Raising the Dead. Talion has necromancy-like powers that allow him to raise an entire army of the dead to do his bidding. He can also raise fallen soldiers too. Finally, the raw power and soul mind strength of Talion is insane. He held down the fort with all of Sauron's minions in the Eye of Sauron for decades. Only after the decades of fighting these back, Talion finally fell to the darkness, becoming one of the Nazgul that ends up hunting Frodo in the main story. So, round 2. Who do I think wins? I gotta go a 7 out of 10 verdict, mid-diff. This goes to Darth Krayt. This version of Darth Krayt absolutely has a counter for Wraith or Ring of Power type abilities, because he will be able to use Shatterpoint to find out what he needs to do to depower his foe. I don't believe that this version of Talion hits harder than someone like Abeloth. And this Krayt could do things like his sheer presence would send rings of dark side power throughout the galaxy and impact all of the dark side users just through his sheer willpower of existing alone. Because of the raw power, his hacks, his ability to manipulate souls, power drain, amp himself by power draining you, and knowing to attack the ring and to get rid of the ring, I believe Krayt would take it, although Talion would be a tough opponent for him. Third round, this is a battle of what would happen if they clashed as commanders. Now, real quick, if you didn't know, based on what I was saying, although you should have gathered it by now, Krayt was a leader of the Sith. He founded the one true Sith and is one of the most impactful Sith of all time. Led several high-tier Sith warriors like Darth Nihil, Darth Talion, Darth Warlock. He was the strongest of them. And he showed he was very patient as a leader and let them develop over time. As for Talion, he had to raise armies to go against the evil armies in the verse. He did so by mind control, mind domination, as well as when he got the ring, he was able to raise the dead. And he commanded these new armies and legions to countless victories. It was a very dangerous combatant because if someone fell in battle on either side, he could raise them and control them, made him very dangerous. Now, who would win if these two clashed as generals? I gotta go 10 out of 10 low diff to Krayt. Krayt has heavy hitters on his team, easily heavier hitters than anyone that Talion can pull up with on his side. I believe they would absolutely run through anything Talion's people are bringing to the table. Not to mention all the ships and tech they have. They would just be able to dominate the war. In a random skirmish on the battlefield, maybe it's a little interesting, but I don't think so. Krayt has too much going on for him. Too many people that are heavy hitters on his team. Too high of tiers for Talon's backup, and as a result, I think Krayt stomps in the commanding their armies round. Because he has too many weapons, and he alone can take their leader. So it's just too much. Anyways, guys, that brings the conclusion to a total of 17 out of 30 in favor of Darth Krayt, with 13 out of 30 going to Talion. This was a very close one, but Krayt takes the complete war. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought of the video. Like I said before, if you like this kind of content and you're just checking it out, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell that y'all get all my content. Check the description to figure out how to support the channel and find a way to come hang out with me and Chuck. Anyways, it's been your favorite villain, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.